to be entertained, is that correct?
Yes.
If we learn something, it's the age of information, you can always look that stuff up. Oh, my name's Drew, I'm one of the zookeepers at work here. This particular demonstration, well obviously these animals can be quite entertaining, that's for sure, very interesting, we know a lot about them. There is a bit of a hazard, obviously you can see that, but I'm not overly concerned about my safety today because I can see, despite arriving 5 minutes late, I have the individual and highly trained Jason. So there, you can actually see the degree of training that's gone into this incredibly important position. Now, this guy here, try to be professional. This guy here, he's more dangerous than the crocodile. This guy here is an estuarine or saltwater crocodile. He's a mature male. I mean, he's probably still growing a little bit. I think he's pretty, certainly done most of his growing. He is a male, and there is a distinct probability that we made him a male. Like crocodilians lack sex chromosomes. Like Jason here, androgynous tragedy he is. But for this animal, what would have determined his gender is actually how fast they grow on the egg. That's what determines whether you're a boy or a girl. It's in the early stages, I don't know if it's days or weeks, but somewhere there at some stage your gender is determined by how fast you're growing, and the key environmental factor involved in that process is of course temperature of incubation. This guy here, his name, well I mean a lot of these male crocs, pretty fearsome critters from a human point of view. So they're big, they're belligerent. Belligerent means they've got like anger management issues. Compared to most of us, they don't get along with their counterparts, they don't get along with us at times. A lot of them have names that reflect this. Things like Spartacus, Psycho, This however is Bart. Obviously we know who he's named after. Now we're actually going to feed Bart. Actually to be more accurate, Jason's going to feed Bart. So can you go around that way?
Yeah.
So he'll just have to take his shoes off because he's going to have to go in the water. You have to come out here. You have to go right around. Try to earn your money. You can take the chicken with you if you want. Yeah, we take our shoes off because we do have to get in the water a bit. I might even take mine off as well. Some people worry about the safety aspect of footwear. And I mean, there are few people, let me say, more concerned about safety in the modern day workforce than me and Jace. So we've administered a risk assessment. We've made the determination that if you get yourself attacked by an 11-foot crocodile and you don't have your shoes on, it won't be a key factor. It's slower than the average crocodile. Let's go. So yeah, just because otherwise I have to jump over the fence here, guys. So Jason there, and he loves this stuff. You want the chicken? So you know what to do. Come around, get over behind him. Yep. Extreme care, please. Yeah, Jason will feed him back down this way, guys. Please don't talk to me.
Smile for the camera, Jace.
So obviously they're carnivorous, they only eat meat, so we feed them mainly chicken. Sometimes they get a few different things. But come on. Stay focused. Hand feeding is the most dangerous of the activities we do, I suspect. They get the closest to you. And this crocodile's done shows for a long time. I mean, he's probably 30 years old. He's probably done shows for at least 20 years. So he's well versed in the techniques we use. Is the feeder experienced? I find Jason is a natural talent in this area. Please be careful. You know I hate paper trays. Bang that wooden fence sometimes that'll do it. With your hand. Otherwise you just have to get closer.
Oh no! Stamp your foot, Jace.
Come on, Jace, get in there. Bang the fence. Hard. Look at palm of your hand. There you go. Don't run. Hold it up. Right out the front, please. Thanks, Jace. Excellent, buddy. One more big jump. Now we can have a chicken head. You only give him small, just watch that chicken tucked in like that, Jace. So I'll swap your places. Thank you. Very nicely done, by the way. Very nice. Can you take it out front with me, mate? What a nice hand feed there by Jace.
Coming to us.
Just, yeah, not with the pole, just splash the water for me, mate. Take it out for me. Just so I know where it's on.
Right in front of you.
So Bart here, guys, is of course a... Actually, that'll be fine. That'll be fine, Jace. He's fine. You've seen... Yeah, he'll be fine. You've seen sort of how he is, guys. He's semi-aquatic, right? So he can move around in the water and he's quite... it's quite long. But, you know, compared to many purely... You're going to have to take a seat. You have to grab a seat. You guys up here have to grab a seat. You're going to have to grab a seat, guys. That's the way. Or over there, you can sit down there in front of the glass if you want to, guys. That's the way. So he's not, you know, although he's quite mobile in the water, he wouldn't be as fast as, say, many purely aquatic animals like, say, fish, right? Catch him a bit. And he certainly, although he can move around up here, he wouldn't be able to run you down. So where he is very good, and you've seen it a little bit, he's very good at approaching unseen. Right, that's where, you know, people can get caught out. You know, he can move through the water, very large, but visually, not much indication of his actual approach. That's how he gets very close. You can see the danger that exists, but with animals like this, as with all animals, dangerous wildlife, you know, there's appropriate behaviours that will minimise your risk, right? And we can base this on past experience in terms of statistical information. So as far as I understand, when it comes to saltwater crocodiles, as dangerous as they can be, in terms of the human contribution, 60% of people fatally attacked by these animals are swimming with them. So if you don't swim with them, the risk will drop, right? 40% of them are swimming with them in the dark. I suspect that would be the local contribution. And 50% of them are swimming with them in the dark with an alcoholic beverage in this hand. So they're what they call human contributing factors, you know. You do them differently, you get a different outcome, right? Bart, of course, is a reptile. And I mean, we know reptiles well in Australia. In some countries, reptiles are not so common. Usually because it's a bit cold. But here in Australia, that's not the case. They're quite a common sort of animal that you find here. And out of the 800 species or so that we have, very few of them are actually dangerous. And there's a few species of snake, maybe 30 or 40 or 50 species of snake, potentially can be quite dangerous. And one species of crocodile, of course, like this fella. Understanding the animal will help. Understanding the way that he tells what's going on and how he thinks. The way he interprets his environment is very similar to us, by the way. Some animals are very different to us. They see very, you know, they interpret their world very differently. I mean, we'll never be able to know what it's like to have the echolocation of a bat, right? Who knows what they tell what's going on, or say the ability to interpret our world chemically like a snake. It's way beyond our ability. But this animal, particularly when he sticks his head out of the water, like he's about to, then he's like you, right? He's looking, he's listening, he's using his sense of smell. His hearing, comparable, probably can tell where sounds come from a bit better because he's mainly nocturnal. His sense of smell, I must admit, is much better than ours, just so you know. They will scavenge the carcasses of animals, things like this, are very good at finding. And his vision, which is about to, well, he's almost about to stick out, is somewhat similar. Daytime probably doesn't see the same amount of colour, but the one environment he will see better than you in is nighttime. Because, you know, has anyone ever seen the reflective eye shine of a crocodile? Yeah. Yeah, well, any animal you see like that, you know, you shine a spotlight or a torch around, you see the eyes, there might be 2 or 4 or 8 or something, depending on what it is. Spiders to koalas. Anything that's got a reflective eye shine. What's happening is the light's going into the eye, there's a reflective layer at the back and it's getting reflected back into the eye. They get more light than you do to get an image. Hence they see better than you do in that environment. What they do with this information, you know, I find that crocodiles are not unintelligent animals. I think one of the barriers is that a long time ago, for our own reasons, we set the way we look at intelligence, we might have set the benchmark a little bit too high. I think we said humans were the benchmark, but I would make the argument we're the extreme, right? And nothing thinks like us except another human. This animal thinks differently. His brain's about this big, and I must admit, in the 20 years I've worked with him, I have found him difficult to bond with. But that's my fault, because I'm part of a species that has an insatiable need to bond. These critters do not have that burden, like Jace. So they're very independent. Anything to do with food though, or identifying a danger, they will pick up pretty quickly. You can tie that chicken under the pole if you want to, mate.
Ready?
Yep. Now Jace is going to move him around a bit. We'll take him out. I think we'll take him over the snake thing to begin with, and we'll see if he'll do a bit of, come out of the water a little bit. The ones that are dangerous to us, you'll need a bigger pole, Jace. You'll need that one, mate.
And a shotgun.
The ones that are dangerous to us will be the mature males, like Bart or bigger. Start in the snake pit if you could, mate, for this fella, I think, today. Just something different. So to give you an idea of his size, guys, Bart here, trying not to chicken slap anyone. It is entertaining, but socially unpopular.
Go on, Jace. Big smirk, Jace.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's true.
So to give you an idea of the size, Bart here, guys, is 3.8 metres long. Now we did measure him about 8 years ago, so it's possible he's grown a little bit. At 3.8 metres, he is about 200 kilograms. Did anyone see Ted today? Yeah. See Ted today? You might have seen him on one of Jason's, just wait up, Jason's boat rides. Ted, guys, is our biggest crocodile. He's our longest, he's 5.2 metres. He's probably our heaviest, he'd be 700 or 800 kilos. And there is a distinct probability that he is our oldest. One of the things that makes me think he's our oldest, guys, there's a few indicators, but one of them is, unlike Bart has 66 teeth. That's standard, right? Replaced every 2 years.
He's got 2.
For about 40 years. Actually more, 40 or 50 cents every 2 years. Ted has 2. They're right at the front of his bottom jaw and they're about 1 centimetre long. That's all he's got, suggestive of some age. I would not swim with him though, because it's it's very embarrassing to be killed by a toothless. Or not.
Give me a nasty suck.
Now you can feed him. Thanks, Joe. So Bart is sensitive to vibration in the water, guys. So he can pick up the splashing from Jason's chicken there. See him moving over. Please don't lose the chicken, you know. Yeah. Excellent.
It's good as gold.
Well, the hands do it well, so I'm confident. You might have to pop him, mate. God help me. So one here, up, there you go. Almost.
Just teasing you.
Yeah. Rather than making a mistake, right? Pop him over, that's lead him right up. Very nice. Come around, fans over here, want to see a bit? That's it, beautiful. Oh my god. Actually, you can have a small piece, Jace, that'll do. Very nice jumps from Bart.
Want the chicken?
No, just bring that. That'll be fine. Just you can break a small bit off and throw it to him if you want. That's what he's waiting for. Don't head feed him. Very nice again, Jace.
There you go, Lefty. call you stumpy
Right,
neck.
so,
Yeah, listen.
so, you know, when it comes to sort of, what if you go somewhere where these animals live? They're quite widespread, of course, even locally. Even locally. So, in the two states, which is Queensland and Western Australia, are the one territory where you find them. And the Northern Territory has far more crocodiles than Queensland. The densities are much higher, like 10 to 12 per kilometre in some of their rivers and wetlands. And most of those animals are adults. In Queensland, the densities are much lower. 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and most of them are sub-adults and juveniles, right? Big difference. But in in Queensland here, the government agency responsible for managing them, that includes human safety, the first step is signage, I guess. And I must admit, some excellent suggestions from the Queensland government on how to behave around crocodiles. I find it very difficult to be 100% safe because, otherwise you'll be staying 5 metres back from all our beaches and everything. So what I say to people is if you're going to go near or into even water where they live, at the very minimum, you want to make sure you can see them coming for you, right? You don't want them to be taking huge risks. So just to give you some examples, that would mean not standing on the edge of an estuary on the west coast of Cape York fishing with zero water visibility. It would mean not canoeing with them. I mean, can you think of a survival strategy if that jumps into the canoe with you? Yes, well, in 2007, that guy couldn't either. It would mean not swimming the Daly River to the Northern Territory that has 10 crocodiles per kilometre at least at 2 AM in the morning. Probably only one outcome you can be assured of there. It would also mean ensuring the safety of your children. So that would mean not letting your child continuously climb a fence that's put up as a barrier with a croc sign on it with her friends to go swimming in a waterhole, which is part of a catchment where only a kilometre away there's a huge wetland where those things live. Particularly in the wet season when the huge volumes of water that move to the coast facilitate their very short movement to where your child is. It'll probably lead to lifelong regrets, which I'm sure it has for those people. If they chase you, I mean, I've spoken to a couple of people that have had this experience in the wild. They've been on the edge doing something and the crocs jumped out and chased them. They tell me that the first 5 or 6 metres is quite stressful. Apparently they're right behind you, All those near-death things. Once you get in front though, you've got more speed, more endurance and more enthusiasm. If they bite you, they bite really hard. They'll want you back in the water. If you struggle, I'll give you an example. Say I miscalculate and Bart zips out and grabs me here, I'd probably grab the fence. Jason would react with ninja-like reflexes. Yeah, we'd probably survive. I must admit, I do try to encourage safe behaviour around them. Did everyone see Paul today? Did you see Paul today, the big one down here, guys? Yeah. It's hard for me to believe that people swim with animals like that, because you know what happens when he gets you in the water? He swims up, underwater, homing in on the vibrations you're putting out. He grabs you at 3 tonnes per square inch with 500 kilos bulk to back him up. He dives straight under the water with you in his mouth. People disappear without a ripple. Once he gets you under on a stress-related dive, because there's a bit of stress in pulling you under, we think he can only stay under for 30 or 40 minutes. Yeah, so you're going to be pretty stressed after 1 and dead after 2. It's not a contest, it's not one of those man-animal contest things. It's a highly effective strategy used by an apex predator to catch large land-based prey. It'll work really well. You won't survive. They'll kill you for sure. Once they've subdued the prey, they'll want to break it up. So they do this by rolling. It's one of the means they do this. So we're going to see if he'll do a bit of rolling. I think he's actually waiting for me to stamp my foot again. We'll find out. That's sweet. Alright, so you can hear a little bit of the pressure there. Actually, that doesn't look good. No, that's alright. No cage whacking. Fiddle. I'm opening a bit. Just open that gate from the Jace in case he lets go. I think a little bit more training might be required. Alright, so a couple of head shakes there. We need to get him out the deep stuff here. Come on, dude. No rolling. Give me a second. Just let Bart get his breath back. He's very good on the chasing and such, it's just sometimes the old rolling gets a bit... What's today, eh? Just get him on an angle. Alright, so that's the death roll. Let's go, please. Let's go. We'll just see what we do. Obviously, he's not on the same time schedule as us. Spit out, dude. Alright, I'm on top. Some people have a 340 boat, do they, guys? 340 boat, some people? Yeah. Don't worry, I'm on top. So we'll feed him again. Before we do that, when it comes to using our local water resources, I go as far to say there's crocodiles in all the creeks and rivers around Cairns, right? Without a doubt. To some degree. Most of them are small, densities are low. Most of them will be hunts, but there is a scattering of big fellas, and they move around a lot. The idea that they stay in one spot their whole life is not true, right? They will travel up and down the coast, up and down the rivers. You can never say where they're going to be. And there's no reason to endanger your life. I mean, there's a lot of water resources up here that you can use where they are not present. Even the catchment areas, you know, the upper catchment areas of our local creeks and rivers that come from the mountain range here. Mossman Gorge is one of the best known examples, but you've got Stony Creek, you've got Crystal Cascade, you've got Josephine Falls, the boulders, beautiful spots, a little bit cold, but no crocs, you know. You go up to the tablelands, big lakes, rivers, no problem, no crocodiles. You can use our reef, the fringing and the barrier. You can use the coastal foreshore, the beaches would be very nice, I think, on today's like today. No problem with crocodiles. All I'll say with the beaches when you're swimming, I would not swim in the rivers. I would not swim right next to the rivers, and I would not swim at night. Anyone who swims off the northern Australian coast at night, natural selection. Won't be passing that type of behaviour on to future generations. Very dangerous. Sharks, crocodiles. Some people, of course, even swim with the jellyfish. Now, I'm going to give him another piece. Because I work with him so long, he probably knows the sequence I do my showings. Here, he's looking at me here. I suspect he knows the sequence. He knows my voice, he knows the sequence. That's a hypothesis, by the way. But before we feed him, and it might be a little bit preempted, before we feed him, though, is there any questions at all on the crocodiles, guys? Believe me, we love questions, especially challenging ones. In fact, to give you the type of thing that I sometimes get, guys, I had a guy ask me the other day, what's the carbon footprint of a crocodile? Who cares? Alright, so is there any questions at all, guys? Yep. The old shark crocodile fight to the death scenario, usually asked by children, of course, but some adults have a fascination with this type of thing as well. We're not absolutely sure. I mean, what we do know, in terms of established, predator-prey relationships, like groups of lions eat large herbivores on the African savannah, right? Big crocodiles eat smaller sharks, usually significantly smaller, and big sharks will eat significantly smaller crocodiles, right? The odd incident where an opportunistic feeding will occur among both species as an adult, though, probably does happen. But, you know, you're not there to see it, though. Measuring them up against each other to see if their adaptations to survive in an ecosystem facilitates one defeating the other is pointless. There's actually a TV program, they made robots and stuff, and find it out. Excellent use of our limited resources. Any other questions or guys? My mate here is obviously preempting any. No. I got a question, guys. I got a question.
Why did you close the gate?
Because I'm going that way, and I don't want him to go that way. You ever wondered how to get away from a crocodile if it actually gets hold of you? Me too. What a lot of people suggest is you poke them in the eyes. You poke them in the eyes, that's what gets suggested. Now it has been successful. The guy I remember most was in 1997, jammed the croc in the eyes, let go. He had two significant advantages. One, he was up on the land. And more significantly, it had hold of someone else. What surprised me, because I think this guy was Australian, this guy dashed out in the dark and tackled this crocodile and successfully saved his mother-in-law. You know why that works? Do you know why that works? Because when you go like that, it's used to a single piece. When you go like that, you're not sure which way to go. Always wondered if it would work. Alright, can I have a chicken head? Or a piece of chicken, actually? Actually, a wing would be good. Yeah, wing if you got it. Actually, throw me over the whole thing and I'll use it and I'll break a piece off. Thanks, Jess. Come on. Right up, brother. That's all we do, guys. Thank you very much for your time.